Joining me now is Chris Bedford, executive editor for the Common Sense Society, and Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary and Fox News contributor. Ari, Butler's team told the Angle in part that she's been a California homeowner since 2011. In addition to her home, Ms. Butler has another place in LA where she will be residing. So many homes, so many choices.
Let's just stipulate it doesn't matter. I mean, when you're in California and you're a Democrat, you can do whatever you want. Now, as for her residency, it's interesting to me. None of the four people mentioned for Senate candidacy, her now serving, appointed by the governor, and the three Democrats running, none of the four were born in California. Now, at least Adam Schiff and Barbara Lee moved there as children, and they both went to college there. So I'm kind of curious if Schiff and Lee are going to make it an issue against her if she decides to run in 2024, that Butler is not really a Californian. She moved there later in life and then moved away. And so she's a ping pong ball. Now she's back.
Chris?
You know, this is something I'm envious of Gavin Newsom and the Democrats right now. I wish Republicans could take a lesson on just how vicious this is. I mean, Senator Dianne Feinstein's been dead for 24 hours, and they appoint a black lesbian who's devoted her life to killing babies in the womb. So say what you will about the Democratic governor. They please their constituents. They take care of their voters. They take care of the people who give them money. You look at Republicans, what do we get? Luther Strange, I mean, Kelly Loeffler. These are the kind of people that Republican governors give to their candidates when they select a candidate. Newsom doesn't even care if she's from California or not. He gives the base what he wants. He rewards them, and he doesn't hold them in contempt like the GOP does all the time.
Well, Ari, here's what Butler said about Republicans. This was last year on the issue of abortion. Watch.
What is consistent is that they are determined to take away freedom from people in this country to make decisions about their own body and to ensure that they themselves, elected officials, have the power and control to make decisions for every woman in this country.
Ari, she's just a rank, partisan, radical, perfect for California. It's a shock that 500,000 people have left there.
Yeah, isn't that exactly right, Laura? You know, if you're a U.S. senator, you need to wait 2 years before you can become a lobbyist. But now we have a lobbyist who can immediately become a California senator. And in this case, you have somebody who's a lobbyist who believes in abortion right up to the day before, the hour before birth. I mean, that's what Emily's List does, the group that she ran. They are the most radical of the pro-abortion groups that are out there. But that's in tune with the modern-day Democratic Party. So marry abortion politics to identity politics, and you get California's new Senator Butler.
Chris Bedford, I want to talk about something we touched on last week, was this possibility that Democrats, because they're in such a hole on the border question, that there would be some movement or some perhaps policy tweak on the part of Biden that they could point to as, oh, we're hearing you, we're addressing the problem. And yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, Hochul spoke out, and I want to play this soundbite about what Democrats are doing on immigration.
We want them to have a limit on who can come across the border. It is too open right now, and that is a real problem for New York City. 125,000 newly arrived individuals, and we are being taxed.
Chris, I mean, they can't take anymore, they say. They want to go all the South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, all the red states.
Yeah, what they meant, that she was famously or infamously quoted Emma Lazarus's poem at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty just a short while ago, saying that New York is open. And what she meant by give us your poor and you're hungry, she meant give Texas your poor and you're hungry, give Arizona, give New Mexico, give anyone except for us. Now, illegal immigration is an easy thing to stand in the soapbox about and to say this is the right thing, this is what our nation was built on, et cetera, but it's much more difficult than the reality on the border. That's why when you had Elon Musk going down there and actually just live streaming from the border, you had reporters from other networks saying, how dare he go down there? What do you mean, how dare he? He's a citizen, and people are lying about what's going on there. The reality's being felt in New York. On the way into the studio today, there was an obvious biker gang hanging out at what used to be the D.C. homeless shelter. Clearly all new illegal immigrants. The whole face of the city in that area is starting to change, even in Washington, D.C., and now it's being felt in these blue cities.
But the people, I think, are now making their voices heard. And Ari, you know, maybe a few years ago, folks didn't think this was going to bubble up to become one of the seminal issues of 2024. But I think that's changed. I think people feel the change. I think people don't want it. And they said, we didn't vote for it. This is not what we thought, meaning kind of mainstream Democrat voters, that they were going to get when they voted for Biden.
And actually, Laura, you, of course, you were at the forefront of that. You were one of the people who did see that very early in a Republican Party that was changing on this issue. And it's absolutely right. It's a moral issue. I mean, either we are a nation of laws with borders or we're not. And the Democrats have lost the ability to make a moral distinction between someone who comes here illegally and legally. To them, it doesn't matter. To most Americans, it does matter. And that's why this is a salient issue.
Yeah, 8 million people, probably more like 13 or 14 million people who've come in. Chris, quickly, Gaetz challenging McCarthy for the speakership. Newt Gingrich pushed back really hard over the weekend on social media, saying this is a self-inflicted wound on the part of the Republican Party, agreeing with Gaetz on the spending issue, but saying you don't have the votes yet. So what is this going to ultimately accomplish? Your view?
I'm not too sure it's going to accomplish that much. I mean, there's a lot of real principled opposition to McCarthy. You want to listen to that, you get someone like Chip Roy. What's going on between McCarthy and Gaetz at this point seems like a personal grudge.
Ari, thoughts on that quick?
Yeah, I think it's nihilistic. I just don't know what they seek to accomplish, and whoever it is going to be the next speaker, they're going to try to vacate that person. Anybody who has to make any agreement or compromise, they're against. You can't vote with a 5-vote majority and speak like you have a 50-vote majority. Republicans only have 5.